Welcome. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of the Spokane area and Spokane City Cable 5, welcome to our 2018 primary election forum featuring contested races in the August 7th, 2018 primary. I'm Ann Murphy, your moderator, and Lisa Kohar of the League is our timer. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that does not support or oppose candidates or political parties. We are conducting this forum to provide you, the voters, with opportunity to learn about the candidates in order to make an informed decision when marking your ballot. In this forum, we will meet candidates in contested races for Spokane County offices and Spokane County District Court Judge Position 1. I will be asking the candidates the questions that have been formulated by the League's Voter Education Committee. Candidates are seated in alphabetical order, and the first speaker will rotate with each question. Candidates will have up to 90 seconds to answer questions. Our timer, Lisa, will hold up a yellow card when the speaker has 15 seconds remaining and a red card to indicate that time is up. Now, before we proceed, a reminder about voting in the primary. You must be registered in order to vote. You can register by mail or online by July 9, 2018. That's up to 29 days prior to the election day. You can register in person up to July 30, which is 8 days prior to election day, at the Spokane County Elections Office at 1033 West Gardner Avenue. Registered voters will receive their mail-in ballots about 3 weeks prior to Election Day. Ballots must be postmarked or deposited in conveniently located ballot boxes no later than 8 p.m. on Election Day, August 7th, 2018. Ballots can be dropped off on Election Day at one of the voter service centers. For locations of ballot boxes or voter service centers, or information about accessible voting units, or other questions about casting your ballot, contact the Spokane County Elections Office, 477-2320, or go to www.spokanecounty.org/elections. Contact information for the candidates, as well as a voter's guide, can also be found on that website. Additional information about the candidates can be found on the League of Women Voters online voters guide, www.vote411.org. And a reminder, this is a top 2 primary, so the 2 highest vote getters, regardless of party affiliation, will advance to the general election in November. And finally, we meet the candidates for Spokane County District Court Judge 1, Randy Brandt, Patrick Johnson, and Lynden Smithson. These are nonpartisan races. Voters will select 2 of these candidates to advance to the general election. Our first question goes to Mr. Brandt. What characteristics and experience do you have that make you the best qualified person for this position? And you'll have 60 seconds.
I think I have several things that I bring to the bench. Lifetime of experience, lifetime community member, lots of training as far as being able to handle docket. I started in 1993 as a pro tem judge and then progressed up through the judicial ladder to becoming presiding judge here in Spokane. I think I bring empathy, compassion to the bench. I've always said that the law does not have a heart, but a judge should. And so I think compassion and caring and empathy to understand the human condition that we are faced with as judges.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Johnson, your characteristics and experiences.
Thank you. I appreciate the League having me. I do appreciate the opportunity to make my case to the voters. I am the best candidate primarily because of balance. What I bring to the table is 20 years experience as a prosecutor. I've worked my way up from misdemeanors, gross misdemeanors, to prosecuting murders, rapes, felony cases, chronic offenders, and career criminals. Balanced against my prosecuting experience, I have 25 years of military experience. For the last 17 years, I've been a defense counsel representing soldiers in the Army, soldiers who get in trouble and need a lawyer to help them out. I bring experience not just as a prosecutor and defense counsel, but also experience in the term of knowing my way around a courtroom. I have 175 trials under my belt. Most of those, in fact, the vast majority, are felony level trials. I have support. I have by far the longest list of judicial endorsements coming into this race, including the endorsement of the race or the position that we are seeking. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Smithson, your experience and characteristics.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for having us. This is a great forum. I appreciate the league having us out. What I bring to the table and why I am qualified for this position is my experience in my past, not only in my legal experience, but outside my legal experience. I have been a civil litigation attorney. I've handled cases, sexual harassment cases, employment cases on behalf of people who were fired for gender or race issues. I have been a criminal defense attorney. I've handled cases for people who have been accused of crimes and have appeared before the courts. I have currently am working for the City Prosecutor's Office. I've been there for 15 years. I'm the head of the domestic violence unit, for that department. I also am the president of our union. And besides that, I have coached youth soccer in Spokane for the last 15 years, giving about 200 hours a year to the community of Spokane.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll move into some other questions. Most noted, which is, why do you want this job? And we're going to start with you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. This is not an accident for me. I've been a lawyer a long time. I was actually speaking with another judge who let me know that Judge Vance Peterson is not running for re-election. Judge Peterson is a great judge, great experience, and a military guy. He started Veterans Court here in Spokane in 2009. He's the only veteran on the bench. I am a veteran as well. And he, based in part on that, is endorsing me to take his spot. I'm the only veteran, only person with military experience running for this job. So it made a lot of sense to me. And I talked to my wife, I talked to my kids about running for this job. And very next day, made it official on Facebook. So that's how you do it now. And so that's why I'm here and appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Smithson, you're next.
Thank you. This run for office is actually an extension of my community, my focus on service to the community through my, as I stated earlier, coaching youth soccer and working with the youth of Spokane, but also as my service as a city prosecutor for the last 15 years. I started this process back in November. I was approached by a judge that I appeared before, Judge Staub in Spokane Municipal Court. She advised me there would be some openings on the bench and that she thought I would be a good candidate for that. I talked with my wife, talked with my family, because this is a huge commitment. This is extremely time consuming to run for this position. I talked with multiple judges. I spoke with Judge Peterson before I declared. I waited for Judge Peterson to publicly announce his retirement before I declared. He has been a judge for a very long time. He deserved that respect, and I waited until he publicly declared before I announced that I was running for his position.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Brandt.
I'm running because I love the work. It is my passion. I became an attorney in 1988. In a couple of months, I will have been practicing for 30 years. 5 years after I became an attorney, I started going up that judicial ladder by serving as a judge pro tem, hearing the entire gambit of cases that come before a district court judge. I then became a court commissioner for that was 10 years, then another 10 years as a court commissioner. And then I went to work for the state, pardon me, hearing appeals for the Office of Administrative Hearing. And then I got more experience by going back and becoming a full judge, district court, and then I served as the presiding judge. I'm a Spokane guy. I went to grade school, high school, and college and law school here, and so I'm committed to the betterment of this community, and that's why I'm running.
Okay, thank you. So what do you see the role of the district court judges in the mental health therapeutic courts? And we'll start with you, Mr. Smithson.
Thank you. The judge's role in the mental health court is to ensure, as a coordinator, make sure that we're getting the people hooked up with the service providers that they need. The Spokane Municipal Court has been a member of the Mental Health Court for about the past 15 years. The Spokane County and Spokane City Prosecutor's Office both have prosecutors in there. They both refer criminal defendants to the Mental Health Court, to the Therapeutic Court, and it takes a special prosecutor, it takes a special judge, it takes a special defense attorney to handle those cases. These people need what we call hand-holding. They need to be brought to court frequently to be reminded what exactly they need to do to stay safe and to stay out of jail, whether that be treatment, whether that be medication. But that's what the judge brings to the bench is a coordinator, if you will.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Brandt.
I'm glad you asked that question. I presided over the mental health here at Spokane County District Court for a couple of years. That is the single most gratifying and rewarding docket I've ever served on. I like that Lynden said it takes a special judge. I was the special judge. But it's great. I mean, it's an ongoing therapeutic court that is so powerful and so helpful, it literally saves people's lives in this community. The benefits from the mental health docket and the other therapeutic courts literally are immeasurable, the benefits. What it does in reducing recidivism, saving people's lives, like Lynden said, you know, we provided a lot of surround services. We made sure that they had continual counseling if they needed it. We would help arrange for housing, medical assistance like at Chaz Clinic. And so it is a wonderful therapeutic court. I cannot say enough about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. The benefit of mental health court is bringing together people who are professionals in that area. Much like our other therapeutic courts, it's an opportunity to have more focused examination of the problems that lead people to commit crime in our community. I know for a long time our jail has been referred to as the largest provider of mental health services in the county. If we can take issue with that and erode some of that base, get people to a place where they can function in our society, then we all benefit. The real goal is to reduce recidivism. Mental health court is an example of that. Veterans court is an example as well. Veterans court, I'm a little more familiar with the numbers on that. The recidivism rate is 15% compared to 43% for the general population. So these are the kind of courts that come together and reduce crime in our community, reduce costs to the taxpayer by keeping people out of jail, and make a real impact in our community.
Okay, thank you. Now, for all of you, I mean, you're going to be new in this position. What changes would you see in wanting to make in terms of court structure or whatever you would be allowed to change? And we will start with you, Mr. Brandt.
I'm not new to that system.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
So I served from 1993 almost uninterrupted until 2014. So I've got, 23 years or something having judicial experience. I've heard tens of thousands of cases, all the way from small claims, which I bring a lot of civil experience, both in practice and on the bench, but civil and criminal. So to me, it's going to be like going to work tomorrow, and I'll hit the ground running. So what I bring to it is that when I was there, I was a leader in change and innovation, to digitize documents, to expedite handling of cases. I saw it at a grocery store, a signature pad. And so we brought in signature pads and interlaced them with our computers so people didn't have to be brought at taxpayers' expense from the jail to the courtroom. And it's a safety, it's a security issue. They could sign their documents and get a hard copy up at the jail. So a lot of improvements, and that's what I will bring again to the court.
Great. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. I would like to improve the bench as well. I see this as an extremely important position. This is a position that deals with thousands of cases every year, impacts a great deal of lives in our community. So I want to focus on, first of all, where I'm value added the most, Veterans Court. I'm the only veteran running. I'm in a position to understand why that is a good program and why it works, and to extend the benefits of Veterans Court. I also have a lot of trial experience, so I'm going to know the difference. If there's an objection in a courtroom, I'm going to know how to rule on that. I've done that from the prosecutor side over the years and from defense side. As a prosecutor, that's a position that is more than an advocate. In fact, in the court rules, we're referred to as ministers of justice, which I like to say is a lofty title, but it's one that I strive to earn every day. So I bring that kind of focus and ability to make quick decisions because everybody deserves a fair shake, but also we need to do it efficiently.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Smithson.
Thank you. I'm not sure that there are changes that I would seek to make. District Court does a great job right now of making sure that criminal defendants and civil litigants get a fair hearing. I have spoken to several of the District Court judges. What they seek and what they have frustration with is they don't have enough resources to handle pretrial releases. They would love to have access to some of the programs that the city of Spokane has. We have TAD devices which monitor whether or not somebody is using alcohol when they're out before trial. I've talked with the judges on the bench and they said that that would be a great program if they had access to that at low cost. Currently, they don't. They have to force a defendant to pay for that, and if the defendant doesn't have an opportunity to pay, then they are not able to get out of court, or out of jail, I'm sorry. They have to sit there until trial. And the other thing that the judges have told me they have frustration with is getting people back to court. They FTA or fail to appear multiple times, and then judges are forced to give them a bond that they don't necessarily want to do, but they don't have any recourse.
All right, so now we move into money. And do you foresee budgets coming up that might affect what you want to do and what you need to do in terms of your court? And so we will start with you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. I see a constant tension between the money that's available and what we would like to do. I think any of us, if given a chance, would say we could do more with more money. That seems to be a truth. The challenge, though, is to do better with what we've got. We need to be responsible stewards of the public trust. We have a tax base that's stressed. We have limited resources and a lot of hands out that need programs, need funding. The sheriff's office, the entire road crew. Everybody needs more money. So the focus for me isn't growing the size of what we have now. It's doing better with what we've got. And so to do that, you need to be efficient. You need to make quick decisions. You need to weigh every case, but have the background to do it fairly and quickly, and to be a real steward of the public trust and the public money, because this is an important position.
Okay, Mr. Smithson.
Thank you. We need to change our focus. Currently, it costs $133 a night to house somebody in jail. For that $133, we could probably pay for a TAD device or a scram device, as District Court calls it, to monitor somebody's alcohol level. We could probably pay for a number of those within just a few days. So if you take a population of 100 people at $133 a night that we're paying for them, if we refocus that money, and this is going to come down to the county commissioners, they're going to have to make the decision that this is important and that we should put the resources into pretrial monitoring, into pretrial services, instead of housing people before trial. I've spoken with a few of the judges, and they're of the same mind that if we can get some pretrial release conditions or some pretrial release services, that we can reduce that pretrial population in the jail and save the county some money.
Okay, and Mr. Brandt.
Thank you. The district court judges, when I was presiding, I was very involved in the budget. The budget is given to us by the county, by the Board of County Commissioners, and we deal with what we are allotted. So one of the primary ways is to try to save money within the budget that we receive. And that's either through scram devices to keep people out of jail, all the alternatives to incarceration, such as what has been worked on by the Spokane Regional Law and Justice Council, of which I had a chair when it first started. And so it's save money, reduce recidivism so that these people aren't going through what has been called the revolving door. All the things that we did to, in fact, I utilized used computers so that we could do search warrants from our off hours, 2 o'clock in the morning. I could literally communicate with an officer in their car that had a computer and a fax machine so that I could consider search warrants.
Okay, Thank you.
Thank you.
And now, gentlemen, we will move to your closing statements. You will each have up to 1 minute for that closing statement, and we will start with Mr. Smithson.
Thank you. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to talk with everybody here. I'm asking for your vote because I'm dedicated to justice and I'm focused on service. This run is an extension of my commitment to service, my service to the community through coaching youth soccer and as a city prosecutor. I have the experience that it takes. I have been a civil litigation attorney, a criminal defense attorney, and a city prosecutor. I know how it feels for a civil litigant to come into court and have to ask that they be compensated for damages or get a protection order against somebody. I know how a criminal defendant has to deal with the court and how every single hearing is the most important hearing of their life. I also know how terrified a victim of domestic violence can feel going into court to have to testify and face the person that abused them. I've had experience. I can handle the volume of district court. I've been assigned over 11,000 cases over the last 5 years in my office. I also have the temperament and I have the compassion to treat every person fairly and with dignity that comes before the court. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brandt.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak with the women lawyers. Excuse me, the League of Women Voters, women's lawyers, that's another one. I am uniquely qualified to serve as your judge. I bring 25 years of experience to this job. I've done every docket. I've sat as a visiting judge in many counties throughout the state. I'm called in because of my expertise, like in real estate and other things, because I had a real estate brokerage or two here in Spokane. I have strong ties to the community. I attended grade school, high school, college, and law school right here in Spokane, so I've got a lifetime. I was recently asked if I'd spent my entire life in Spokane. My response was, not yet. So, you know, it's a process. I don't know if either of my worthy opponents have served in a judicial decision-making capacity. I was a defense. I did a lot of defense work too in the early days, but the experience that I bring is not sitting in a chair burning time. I was a leading mover and shaker and motivator.
Okay, thank you very much for your closing statement, and we will go to Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to seek the public's vote for this important position. I bring to the table the balance needed to be judge. I have vast experience prosecuting cases ranging all the way from district court type matters, gross misdemeanors, all the way up to murders and rapes, and cases where victims are gravely impacted by the actions of other people. As a prosecutor dealing with those kind of cases, I'm constantly cognizant of the fact that I have to be a minister of justice, that I have to take every circumstance under consideration, that for me it's more than being an advocate. I have to do justice. I balance that out against my military experience, the only candidate with military experience. I have experience in trial. I have experience serving the elderly. I'm a national and local speaker on elder and criminal issues, and I appreciate the opportunity to seek your vote. Thank you.
And thank you to these candidates for Spokane County District Court Judge. They again are Randy Brandt, Patrick Johnson, and Lynden Smithson. This concludes the primary election candidate forum for Spokane County offices. And in case you joined us after the program began, here is a reminder about voting in the primary. You must be registered in order to vote. You can register by mail or online by July 9th, 2018, up to 29 days prior to the election on August 7th. You can register in person up to July 30, 2018, 8 days prior to the election, at the Spokane County Elections Office, 1033 West Gardner. Registered voters will receive their mail-in ballots about 3 weeks prior to the election day. Ballots must be postmarked or deposited in conveniently located ballot boxes no later than 8 p.m. on election day. Ballots can be dropped off on Election Day at one of the voter service centers. For locations of ballot boxes or voter service centers, or information about accessible voting units, or other questions you may have about casting your ballot, contact the Spokane County Elections Office, 477-2320, or go to www.spokanecounty.org/elections. Contact information for the candidates as well as voters' guides can also be found on the website of the Spokane County Elections Office. Additional information about candidates can also be found on the League of Women Voters online voter guide, www.vote411.org. The League of Women Voters of the Spokane area is a nonpartisan political organization encouraging informed and active participation in government, influencing public policy through education and advocacy. We invite you to visit our website at www.lwvspokane.org for more information. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of the Spokane area, thank you to all of the candidates for their participation in this forum, and thank you to our viewing audience for your willingness to learn more about the candidates and their issues. We hope that this forum has helped you in making an informed decision when you cast your ballot by Tuesday, August 7th, 2018. Thank you for joining us.